So I click on
God
settings,
particles,
I go to
right?
privacy policy. This is my privacy policy. Consider a URL as well to bring you to the site.
Okay.
That's it. That's all that we need. And that was integrated in the side. So this bar here is a charms bar.
Okay.
Gives you an easy way to integrate with all sorts of different, let's do this.
Let's see what the privacy policy happens to be for this.
Right. So this does not transmit your information outside. So in this case here, we have permissions and rate and review.
Yes.
So it's an easy way to kind of integrate with that. 2 lines, actually, in this case, 1 line of code.
Yeah, that seemed like it was done even fewer minutes than the one we worked on before.
Super, super easy.
Yeah.
Super easy. So that means we can move on to the next one even faster.
Yep.
Pause screen.
Ooh. This sounds like it can get tricky because how do you handle these different states and what's going on in the background? I'm curious to see your viewpoint on this.
A couple different ways of doing this. Why would you need a pause screen? What happens when a user does any of the following? Your phone rings.
Yeah.
Right? You switch away. You need a break. All of the above. You need to somehow show a pause dialog if you want a friendly game.
Right.
Now, the good news is you can do this 100% in the code inside of Unity.
Wow, okay.
You can also do this inside of your exported Visual Studio project as well. You have multiple solutions. I will show you the one that I use in Unity right now.
Okay.
Platform uses. Well, on my Windows Store device, I probably won't be getting a phone call.
Right.
So in that case, I can do maybe somebody takes my application and they bring it on over to the side and they scale it down really small. I determine, you know what, my game doesn't look good underneath a width of 500 pixels.
Right.
And so I might want to show them, just immediately pause my game state.
Okay.
I've seen several games do that before, that as soon as you scale it over, they just show you paused. It's too small to run, the graphics don't look good.
That's simple.
Yep, so they're just trying to help you out a little bit
and
there.
Plus, you may not want to strain all the device's resources as well.
Yes. Another case is you switch away from the application, or when your application's suspended, you want to do it then.
Yep.
Now, Windows Phone, app gets suspended, or maybe the user presses the back button once. You want to show it. You'll see a lot of games that do that. You press the back button on your phone, a pause dialog comes up.
Okay.
And then you can just resume your game from there, or switch back to your home screen or whatever. So it's
got to resume your state or where you left.
Yep. It just gives a nice consistent way. Back button, same thing as hitting escape on here, which will show. And that just triggers it off. So let's go and look at a little demo of this, implementing a pause screen. And we will do this in Angry Birds. Just kidding. Zombie pumpkins. Zombie alert. This is getting better and better.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what to expect.
He's mixing it up all sorts of ways. This is cool.
Oh, that one killed your audio.
Yeah.
Speaking of audio, let's do a little bit of this. All right. Now, let's go to my main. My pause screen is actually on my main game because I don't care about it on my title screen because my title screen is not doing anything right now. So I'm going to go to my level 1.
Okay.
Okay, and we've got a bunch of other things we're going to show here, but let's hide a couple things here so you can see it. Let's take. Okay. What I have is I have a pause screen here. A pause screen is nothing more than what I did in this implementation, different ways of doing this. I have a UI element here called a panel. And underneath that UI element, I have my pause and continue. So all I did was I went to Game Object, UI, I created a panel, and inside of this panel, I dragged my images into it. That's all that panel is.
Okay.
Why do I do that? I do that because that gives me an easy way to just hide this panel here.
Okay.
I can show it and hide it very, very easily. So I have all my pause logo here and the continue button inside of this panel. That's all. That's the only reason I do it like that.
So wherever that panel goes, those icons will go.
Those guys go. So if I go to pause, right, that's my entire pause screen right there.
Just kind of slides into view at that point.
And what I also did was, because I want to search for this in code, I actually just gave it a tag of pause.
Easy enough?
Easy enough. I just went in and added it through add tag. I called it pause because my code will say, hey, I need my pause screen. And so that's how it looks for it.
Okay.
Speaking of code, the class in here that I want to demo is called Screen Manager. And Screen Manager, we do a couple things. So we hook into the window size changed. So we can do a little detection that if the window size is less than 500 pixels, we can go ahead and call our method pause. Otherwise, it's not. Make sure that we're resumed. This only gets triggered when you change the window size.
Okay.
And here, when we start our code, we've talked about these methods before, Start is right before that this, whatever object this code is assigned to, whatever
Yeah.
game object that this class is assigned to, right before its first frame is processed, this code gets called. And so right there we're saying, you know what? This is a screen manager game object. So if I look in Unity, I have a screen manager game object. It is nothing more than an empty game object with this script attached to it. That's all it is. And so when this object starts up, it looks for this guy right here. So this guy starts up and says, Unity, where is my pause screen?
Right.
Because it looks for it by tag. And so now it has a reference to it. And so that's what we're doing right here. We have a reference to our pause panel. Now, if we can't find it, I just do a little quick error so we know that, hey, I don't have anything in my game with pause. I do this a lot. If I can't find an object I look for in startup, I will debug.log error and with some details so I know, hey, maybe I'm integrating this into a new game and I missed the requirements here.
Okay.
So I just kind of be specific here. Missing a game object, tag pause. This is the item shown, yada, yada, yada.
Do you know if there's anything different between debug.log and log error?
Yeah, so with log error, let me do this. Watch this. Are you ready?
I would like to see this.
Test error. Let's start this guy up, and we are in our level 1, and let me just enable that.
Ooh, very nice.
So, notice on our console here, we have an error that's been logged. This is not just an information log.
Yes. It's actually in the warning screen.
So this is saying, hey, you've got something you need to pay attention to. This is pretty critical here.
Ah, so it kind of stands out a bit more than
Stands
the
out a
rest.
whole lot more. So let's make sure we get rid of this guy. Next, if we can find it, we just go ahead and we hide it because we don't need it right now. It's our pause screen. So we're just setting set active to false. And all set active does in Unity, you give it true or false. That's the same thing as checking off over here, this guy right here.
Okay.
So set active is essentially the same thing as checking or unchecking that. You pass in true or false.
Okay.
Make sense so far?
Yeah, it's on or
All
off.
right, cool. Then, if we hit escape, what do we want to do?
We're going to tell you want to do something.
So if we are already paused, we're going to resume our game. If we are not already paused and somebody hits escape, we want to
Okay.
pause.
Just kind of switching states, going back and
That's
forth.
it. You got it. All right, so let's go ahead over here and let's run this. And let's see what this looks like.
Okay, pause screen. Looks like all the state in the background is not resuming.
Now, there's one thing I want to point out here.
Yeah.
Let's look at what pause does.
I was actually just going to ask that.
Good timing. So what I do with pause here is I save the original timescale. Timescale is like changing time. Imagine if you were a superhero and you could scale time and change time.
Okay.
This would be the property assigned to you. It would be David.timechanger.timescale.
All right.
So what this does, this is our current time scale. In other words, it's value between 0 to 1, I believe.
My next question.
And that tells you how fast is time processing. 1 is real time. 1 is how we are experiencing right now. So I'm just saving that value, and then I set it to 0, which stops all physics and stuff going on in the game.
And you're saving the value because?
I want to restore it afterwards. So I'm setting timescale equal to 0, and just a little flag so I know I'm paused.
Yep.
And I'm just making sure that this pause dialog is now active.
Okay.
So I could have just passed in true there because I know it's true at this point in time.
Yep.
And so that shows the dialog. Then, when you hit escape and we resume it, what do?
Say, if you're not paused.
Now, I could, if you caught what I did real quick in the beginning was here, you can stop all audio from playing if you want. I know some games, when you pause them, they continue to play audio.
Right.
So I kept it in this case. That's why I just kind
You
of
see how easy it is to really turn it off.
Yeah.
And
So
audio
down here-
listener, is that referring to every audio listener or?
That is everything in your game.
Okay.
Yep. Now, ideally, in a scene, you're only supposed to have one audio listener.
Right.
If you have more than one, Unity will tell you excessively, hey, you have 2 audio listeners.
Okay.
Now, this right here is we are restoring timescale, putting it back to its original value, in this case 1, and then we're going ahead and hiding our dialogue. So let's see that in its implementation again in Zombie Pumpkin Slayer. Very cool. Everything, physics has stopped. Animations have stopped. Everything has stopped.
Wow, I'm amazed it was that simple.
Except now I can come in here and click on continue or hit escape.
Huh. That is extremely easy.
Super easy.
Yeah.
Super, super, super easy. Now, what I did before was we had our Windows build here. Let's go ahead and run that build.
Yep.
Get our title screen here. Play. Right. This is easy. Let's see if I did my
Okay, still playing. And
hooked into my event. Oops, I just closed. There we go. I died.
way to go.
I can't show you this next scene yet. The resurrection scene we'll see
One
shortly.
step at a time.
One step,
okay.
yes. I have that code there. That's why you're seeing it now. But we'll unveil that shortly here.
Yeah.
So back to this. Super, 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 super easy. Integrating a pause screen adds a little bit to your application to make it just a little bit. It's one of those finishing touches on here.
Okay.
In-app purchases.
Not necessarily as evil as many people may be led to believe.
In-app purchases, in my opinion, currently in the state of the game dev economy today, in-app purchases, for the most part, is how you're going to make your money.
I agree.
If you have a good ad strategy, it's tough, but you could potentially do it that way as well.
Right.
But in-app purchases, that's where to me, you get kind of the best experience in a game.
Right.
So let's say I want to purchase a weapons pack, or I want to purchase some sort of power-up or something like that in a game.
Okay.
In-app purchases are great. And one of the models that you see today, somebody has a free game they release, and then they have an in-app purchase. Tobiah covered a lot of these topics in the last talk, or 2 talks ago, I should say.
Very well done.
Very well done. Great, great talk. He's got great expertise there, so I always love hearing that. Pick up things from it every time. And I've heard it probably many times already. Pick up something new every time. So different ways of doing that strategy. We can have a user purchase something up front, or we can kind of place it correctly in the game, right?
Like
so there's a
tasteful.
strategy. Yes.
Yes.
So you can show them all these power-ups in the beginning or whatever they want to purchase.
Right.
You know what? That's not enticing to them.
Yeah, you don't really want to taunt them.
Yeah. So let's let's talk about how we can use the Prime 31 plugin here.
Wow, Prime 31 all over the place.
All over the place. Now, all the stuff that we're talking about, if you happen to have this code or you are very comfortable writing Windows Store applications already, we have some great porting guidance, integration guidance, so you can write your own code on the C# XAML side and hook into an event on the Unity side. So you don't have to use a plugin here. You can write all of your own code there if you're comfortable doing that. You can hook into an event on the Unity side, raise that event, and then trigger it off in your C# project. I believe in the session coming up tomorrow, I think Jaime and team are going to be covering some of those tactics as well. I just want to point out, you don't have to use a plugin, but to me, I can drop it in my project. It makes it quite a bit easier for me to use, and it's free. So let's talk about it. In this case, we're going to bring in Metro Essentials Unity package. And again, we also need P31 Metro Essentials added to that unprocessed DLLs. So we've looked at that now twice, one for the Azure one and one for the Metro Essentials.
It seems like the same song and dance each time.
That's right. Sure, you have Windows Store selected as the build. Now, we do need one other thing here, because the way that in-app purchases operate is you have your real live application, but then you have your application you're using during testing. And so that brings up a bit of, as a friend of mine called it, 2/3 of a dilemma. 2/3 of a trilemma. He called it dilemma.
Trilemma.
2/3 of a trilemma. Don't want to mess up that quote because
I want to understand this.
So on one hand, your application's running live, you're charging against something. A user's purchasing something, and it's charging your account. In test, the current strategy is there's a simulator that you can use. When you're coding a Windows Store application, there's this purchase simulator you use. And so
like playing with Monopoly money, we'll say.
Yes, exactly. And so, in fact, I won't even say yes. You know what? That is a good analogy. I like that.
So I put on my top hat and my monocle.
Now I've got that scene from Ace Ventura stuck in my head now when he dances the guy around. Anyway. So we're going to add this license.xml to our exported project. And so we'll look at how we have to create that. And let's get to this and look at an actual demo of doing this.
Let's go.
All right. So what we're going to do for our in-app purchases, we want this to entice the user when they die. Now, you're just really doing well in this game. Right? In what game are we playing here? This is... I don't want to get lost today. Let me see if I can see the name here. Zombie Pumpkins.
I think it's
I didn't even finish it. Again, reminds me of the scene from Ace Ventura. Chicago. I'll have to test these guys out a little bit. It's too bad it's the last session of the day.
I know. Keep the energy high for a while, right?
That's right. So here, I did the exact same thing for this pause screen. Let me hide the pause screen so you can see our resurrection screen. Simply a little dialogue here. Let's go back to our UI. It is the exact same thing. So a panel in the UI system.
Okay.
A panel is nothing more than an image. Unity, there was a lot of call for people to use, usability. People wanted the panel, something that represents a panel. Even though it's just an image, it's still easy to just go ahead and create a panel, but it really is an image behind the scenes. So I create this panel, and inside of that panel, I have this little image right here.
Okay.
And inside of that little image, I have this little image.
All right, so images within images.
Images within images.
How far down the rabbit hole does it go?
And then what I've used, so these are all child game objects. So of course, if we disable this top one, disable this top one right here, everything will get disabled with it as well.
Makes sense.
Now, what I did here was on my bottom resurrect image, because this is a child of this one, I could position this really anywhere I want. But I try to take advantage of the new anchoring system that's provided in Unity 4.6.
Wow.
And I basically...
So much easier.
So I anchored this down here at the bottom center of its parent. And then just adjusted its offset a little bit. So when I anchor it down here, let me show you. I can change these positions here. I can go like this, 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 this. I can anchor that all over.
Okay.
So I just anchored it kind of down there and just bumped it up a little bit here. It's good? He's good. All right. Now, I did a similar strategy here. I have some code. Let's go back to my code.
Okay, here we go. Back in our screen manager.
So let me get rid of my screen manager, because actually this is going to be in my game controller class. I probably could have, being that it is a screen element, I probably could have put this in there as well. But to me, this is an aspect that goes through my game orchestrator. So my screen manager is just doing my pausing.
Right.
Really, maybe I could have renamed it like pause manager.
Okay, makes sense.
But in this case, I consider this really an in-game experience application that I want to be controlled by my orchestrator of my game, which is my game controller class. And so when this starts up, I'm doing the exact same thing. Now, I just wanted to show you a difference in when I was talking about in kind of my in the optimization thing that we did earlier today. In Module 6, we did optimizations.
Yes.
I talked about different ways of finding objects.
Yeah, looks like you're doing quite a bit of searching in that.
Yeah, so this right here is actually going to search through everything in my scene until it finds this dialogue. A better thing I could have done here is find game object with tag and just tagged it as something like resurrect over in Unity. I just want to show you. This is kind
there
of
are fewer tags to sort through.
Fewer tags to sort through. Actually, in this case, it looks through every single game object for its name, and remember, names can change.
Yeah.
In this case here, we're just looking at only objects that have a tag. So I want to show you both ways that I'm doing it.
Okay.
In this case, I would typically stick with this all the time, but sometimes it's good to show you the not as good way as well.
Okay.
So resurrect dialog, it's going to find it. Actually, I'll tell you what, why don't we fix that right now so you can see how you can take code that you download from the net, although this was not code from the net, but just to show you.
Well, if other people are downloading it following the videos, it will be code from the net.
And notice what I did here. So by default, the API selected was find game objects with tag. I don't want to return multiple objects. I want the first one found with the tag resurrect. And creating a tag in Unity is extremely simple. It's going to do a background compile here. That's why we have that pause. I will go into my resurrect dialog.
Untagged.
I'm going to add a tag. Paste that text into there, resurrect.
Automatically increases the size of our array.
There we go. I just pasted a name into there.
Easy enough.
Easy enough. Then I'm going to go back to my resurrect dialog. It's still untagged. I actually have to come in here to my tag, do something with that, and that's easy enough. It's just, there we go. Save that. Now, when this starts up, you should be able to find it. And ideally, I want to do the same thing with this one too and fix that, but we won't do that right now. First thing it does when it finds it, it hides it. I don't want that dialog showing up all the time. So now let's see where else this is used. Show resurrect purchase and hide resurrect purchase. All these two methods do, show the dialog by setting active. Remember, that equates to?
Right, turning it on or off.
Turning on or off. All it does is check this little checkbox.
Okay.
So I have two methods there, show and hide.
Easy enough.
Makes sense so far. If I want to find out where this is referenced, I can just right-click and say show all references in Visual Studio.
Very nice.
And here we find that it's calling decrement cross health. So my game controller is managing the center cross. So pumpkins come up and they attack that cross. The idea is when the health on that cross gets down, you die.
Okay.
So I have this really easy for this simple demo purpose. the first time that cross gets hit by pumpkin, it's going to show us our resurrect dialog. As opposed to having to wait a few minutes as I battle these pumpkins. First time that cross gets hit, we're going to show this purchase dialog.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what happens here.
Kind of hinting that something greater could happen.
Yes, so let's show what happens, and then we'll look at the actual code on what happens for our purchase. Or we go to actually have an in-app purchase class right here. So let's see what happens, and then we'll walk through the code on that.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to do on this case, because this is Windows Store specific code.
Yes.
This is meant when you do your Windows Store build.
Okay.
So let me make sure I have that selected as my build
So we had
platform.
all those DLLs in there before.
Yep. So we need to actually go back to our Visual Studio project.
Yep.
Now, I don't want anybody to confuse this with the Unity VS project, which is also Visual Studio. This is all my game development code. This is not my exported Windows Store project. Just to recap on that, all I did was I come to here, I build my project. That's what we're opening up, this resulting project here.
Okay.
All right, so this is my resulting project. And in this project, we're going to run it. This is the same one that we looked at for our live tiles, same one that we looked at for our privacy policy. Now let's see for our in-app purchase.
Okay, let's see what happens here now.
Now what I did was I configured this in-app purchase to be free. I should probably have that audio change. Okay, now I don't pause my game.
Right.
Because sometimes you see things still run in the background on games.
Yes.
So I wanted that kind of intentionally, you see things still going on there. You died, you could resurrect, or in this case, I have no way for the user to get out of this.
Oh.
So they must purchase my net purchase. Ideally, you want a little...
Probably not the best way of handling it.
No, a little icon here just to hide that too, but this was kind of a quick implementation.
Yes.
Now, in this case, I have no kills yet, but imagine I've got like 1,000 pumpkins that I just offed here.
Yeah.
So you know what? I've got great progress. I want to be high. I
going.
want to be higher on your leaderboard.
That's right.
300 isn't enough. I want to be higher. So now that we've all heard this audio 1,000 times, let's just disable that audio real quick and switch back to this. All right. Resurrect. I click on resurrect. And now this tells you right now, simulate this purchase because we are using the simulator.
That's right.
This is not a live published application.
It's our Monopoly money coming into play again.
That's right. Now I can simulate what I want to return here. OK means the user accepted it.
Perfect.
Invalid arg, out of memory, right? Catastrophic failures, or fail. Like, so if I cancel this, this is going to fail.
Yes.
I want to OK this. As soon as that happens, there we go. We're back in the game. Now these pumpkins are only registering on the first hit. That's why we're not. Why isn't it ending? Right? This cross is still getting bit right now.
Yeah.
Let's kill one, and then it'll happen again when the next one falls up. There we go.
Okay.
Resurrect, okay. Died again. So again, I'm doing this intentionally just on one hit.
Right, otherwise you
make
offer
it
some
easy.
sort of delay for you to kind of get your scene back in order.
Yeah. So let's close that out and look at what I do in code.
Yeah.
So code is real easy here. I'm loading a license file. And the way that the Prime-31 plugin works is if you happen to load a test license file,
Okay.
it will use it. If you don't, it's live. So it's an easy way to switch back and forth.
Yes.
So because I'm doing my testing here, I'm just calling this. If I'm going live in my app, I'll just comment that out. Now, the only other thing that I need here, there's two things. So one, we're going to add this license file here, this code in the license file. And this license file you actually have to bring into your resulting project.
Okay.
When you install the Prime-31 plugin,
Yes.
it brings in a license.xml file.
All right.
Contains all the stuff in it right here. So you take your license file and you bring it into your Visual Studio solution here, right there. I literally just dragged it and dropped it right into this project.
Okay.
And jumping out from Unity to do that is real easy. You can right-click on any item
Open
and show
Explorer.
an Explorer, and then you can just come back over to your Visual Studio solution, drag it on over, bring it into your project on its root, and away you
Perfect.
go. So we've got that there. Referencing the licensing file means go ahead and do this in trial mode, trial licensing mode. And secondly is I've got a purchase resurrection method. And it is essentially a one-line code to do your purchase. Now, so in this case, I'm requesting an app purchase on this. And here I'm showing my in-app purchase result.
Yep.
That's easy enough to do, right? So in actually the in-app, let me go into what...
I mean, most of that is really just the debug stuff you have in there.
Let's go to our Prime-31 under our plugins. Metro Store. let me save this and open this one up here real quick. If you look at the source code that's provided with this, you'll see there's a bunch of options in here. So you can find out if your app is currently in a trial.
Okay.
Because you can offer a trial. Like, let's say you want to do a 3-day trial of your application.
Yeah.
You can request an application purchase here. So you can say, hey, request an app purchase. Now you can do things like, actually I think he has an example down here.
Consumables.
Consumables, right?
Yes.
So there's a workflow with consumables. You have to have them purchase a consumable, report the consumable. In other words, fulfill the consumable.
Yes.
So there's demos in here on how to do that as well. The API itself is actually real easy. Request product purchase. And what you do with these in-app purchases, let's say we want to do this as,
Resurrection.
we'll call this resurrection.
Okay.
And actually, I think I just realized a minor error in my code here. Let's talk through that.
Okay.
Yes, I actually did a minor error in my code here.
And this is why I enjoy doing these kinds of talks.
See,
This is a real-world example of how you ran into an issue and how we can get out of it.
with demos, you always find that you kind of are adding on at the last minute. You're like, you know what, it'd be really cool to add this in. I was going to try to add that leaderboards in last minute. So you're always trying to kind of fit really cool content.
You know, it
and
shows that you know
change
your
around.
code base very well, that you can kind of bounce in and out at will.
Cool. So, resurrection.
Yep.
That is the name of our in-app purchase. Let's go ahead and rebuild this again here.
Okay.
We can regenerate this just like this. Now, Unity will not overwrite the project. It just overwrites the data folder in that project,
Yes.
which happens to have all of your Unity code in it.
That's right.
So that's perfect. So all of my existing stuff does not get overwritten. Just my Unity code and assets get overwritten in there. So this should work just fine. We're going to come back over here.
Okay. As we're slowly building up our player. Looking forward to playing this game again.
Now, while that's building, let me talk about what this is.
Yes.
When you go into the store and you submit your application, one of the things you have to fill out is if you want to use in-app purchases and if you want to use Microsoft's in-app purchase system.
Okay.
And, you know, there's just a few things, a couple pages you go through submitting your application. And when you choose it, it says, all right, what in-app purchases do you want to use? In this case, you name it. You name it whatever you want to use. If this happens to be extra gun pack, this name must match the name when you're submitting your application. And you tell the store, you say, you know what, this is a whatever the price you want it. It could be free, or you can charge up to like $999 for an in-app purchase.
Okay.
I recall Tobias saying, I don't know if he mentioned it in his talk today or not, but in their game they had a larger valued in-app purchase.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that even though it seems like people might not click that a lot, they just want to get it. Actually, he may have talked about that today.
There's a whole psychology.
There is definitely psychology behind that. So this is the name of whatever we're going to have in the store. Let's go ahead and run this project now. We should have a very similar result here. Compile, deploy, run it. Click on play to get past that title screen, and
Here we go.
there we go. Now we're just going to get out of the way and let this happen fast.
Let the pumpkins do their thing.
Let the pumpkins do their thing. You died, resurrect, and something didn't work right on there.
Who didn't get called?
Who didn't get called?
So, we didn't see an error pop up there, did we?
I didn't see an error pop up there. Let's try this again. No. But anyway, so because I kind of did the live debugging on this, I'd have to go back and look at what exactly didn't get called in there. And I will definitely make sure that this is updated for the demo.
Okay.
We're going to open source this project so you can see it. I will make sure that this actually shows you the dialog that you'll expect to see here.
Perfect.
And then this is the initial one that I had. So my app purchase was working great.
Yes.
It just wasn't the other in-app purchase here, the product purchase with a key.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on. In-app purchases, pretty
Yes.
easy to implement, even though I had the wrong API call there. Saw that and go back and fix
Looks
that, add the
simple
right
enough.
one. Simple enough. Privacy policy, this actually, this is a quick slider that should have been a little bit prior.
Okay.
That actually brings us to the end of this session. But you know what? I see that we have about 45 seconds left.
Okay.
So, so we could do something here. We could talk about zombie pumpkin slayers. Have you had fun during this whole session?
I've had an absolute great time.
I have had a phenomenal time.
I don't know about you, but it was a lot of work to kind of put this together, so I want to thank you for coordinating and organizing all of this.
My pleasure. This has been a great time. Folks that are watching this, please fill out the survey. Your information helps us make these events better. We absolutely love doing them. It's very rewarding. This is very fun being here.
Yeah. Your feedback is much appreciated. So the more detailed your feedback is, the more incentive we have to then come back and do this kind of thing again for you.
Yes, and just as a quick reminder, folks that are watching this live, tune in. We're going to do a quick little thing after this. Thank you again very much, and please let us know any feedback and follow us on Twitter. We're always publishing out new things on gaming, and check out our blogs. We have a lot of good content. But thank you most of all for attending and watching this.